Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be going on the North Country Trail, and on the North Country Trail we're going to go to two really neat spots. The first spot is going to be Juniper Point, which is a really cool outlook, and the second part is we're going to go to an old historic Swedish settlement. This historic Swedish settlement was founded back in the 17 or 1800s, and it's got the old parameters of their of the foundations of their houses, their farmhouse, and it's going to be really neat to see. And of course, what else could we make for food today for lunch other than Swedish meatballs? It just wouldn't be fair. So let's go on an adventure. This is where we are today, and this is pretty much the whole North Country Trail. I guess it goes just through North Dakota, kind of ends there, but I'm almost positive that there's more trails that go out west. But this is where we are today. We're going to be in this little section right down here in Wisconsin, right in here. So not only is this a historical trail, but we're going to go to that historical Swedish settlement. And the Swedish settlement was actually founded and completed in the 1880s. So it was after Wisconsin even became a state. But a lot of people in the northern part of Wisconsin at that time weren't really living up here. It wasn't as habited as it is today. So these old trails used to be more like roadways. Probably you could take horse, maybe even buggies down it. I don't know how wide they were. But they made their own farming area, and they used the Marengo River, which will be going kind of through the area we're hiking. Hopefully we'll be able to get some glimpse of it. I don't know if we're going to go that far, but they settled by the Marengo River, and there's a lot of different settlements, I think, that went along this area over here. But the one we are going to see today is the Swedish settlement. So that'll be really neat to see. And if you do come down this trail, they do have informational things like this poster here. They used to have pamphlets on it too, but I guess not today. So we can take a map though. If you didn't see earlier in the video that it's about 3/4 of a mile to Juniper Point, and it's about 1.3 miles to the Swedish settlement, so it's not too big of a hike. The biggest part of this stretch is it is somewhat hilly, and I'm carrying a backpack, and I'm not used to hiking with a backpack. I'm used to just kind of going out with a water bottle and saying good enough. So yeah, it winds me a little bit, but that's okay. It's still a beautiful day, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. Taking in all the elements of the forest here. The smell is amazing. If you've never been to northern Wisconsin, you need to come up here and just smell the change from mid-Wisconsin to northern Wisconsin. It's incredible. Yeah, really cool that, you know, it being so desolate in here, so many people take care of this trail. And most of the trails probably around your area probably have the same type of system. You have people that come out and take care of it, and they do the best they can. And I know there's a whole arsenal of people that take care of the trails around here. Ooh, squirrel or a chipmunk. So take care of your trails if you are on one. Juniper Rock Overlook. That is where we're going to. And we have a geocache here. Maybe it comes from this side. There's got to be a way to open this thing up. This can't just be locked forever. Well, how did they put it on? Is it just jammed on there? Oh, there you go. Yeah, it wasn't on all the way. Ooh. If you've never got into geocaching, this is the place to start. A lot of these trails will host to a lot of geocaches. Geocaches are basically things that are hidden out in the woods and in trees, and you go to geocaching.com and figure it out yourself. I'll actually try to put a link down in the description, but yeah. So you basically sign your name, and they've got a lot of different things you can take. And of course, the rule is if you take something, leave something, okay? Probably besides a North Country Trail map, because you can actually find it. So, huh. Would you look at that view? Well, I think we deserve a little bit of a break because we almost made it a mile today, and the drink of the day is Sprite. Can't get enough of that. So legend is told that juniper berry bushes are all around this area, hence why it's called Juniper Rock. Many people come out here throughout the summertime and the fall and the winter and all the seasons and just enjoy this beautiful view. And I can't say how beautiful it is. It is so hard to film it because it's so vast and big that for some reason you just can't pick up everything. It's just, you've got to come here to experience it. Okay, off we go. No bugs. Bye, Juniper Rock. That was like a mountain. I don't know about you, but I haven't really hiked any mountains lately in my life. But that was definitely a mountain. I don't care what they say. Yeah, if you're looking to do some hiking, here's a little bit of advice, which I normally, as a young hiker, new to this kind of thing, will tell you, know your limits. If walking a mile is what is your limit, I wouldn't hike this. But for most people, I think this is going to be a pretty fun jaunt for you. That's not too bad of a mountain, but it is like a mountain, I feel. I don't know if that got struck by lightning or just rotted out. It looks pretty solid in there. Who knows? So this little thing right here is a thermocell. And that thing will save your skin anytime you go into a mosquito or bug infested forest. And for me today, it has definitely helped, especially at the beginning of the trail and right now where the bugs are ferocious. I'll tell you a little bit more about it later on when we cook. We'll have to check that out maybe on another episode and do a little bit of camping on the North Country Trail. What do you think? Comment below. Welcome to the Swedish Settlement. This is the historic site that I've been wanting to look at for some time. And right now we are standing what would have been inside of a barn for the Swedish settlers. So let's take a peek at that. This is huge. Probably at least, I don't know, 50 feet by 50 feet. This used to be where the cattle, I'm assuming the cattle would drink out of it. It looks like some type of either drainage or kind of like where they put the feed or maybe even put some water. It's so neat to see how like they made an actual curvature of this. Like it's almost a perfect, like a pipe was laid there. Of course, I think pipes were created at that time. I believe this was a wall right here that I'm standing on. This is like the middle part of the barn, so I'm in the middle of the barn right now. There is this part over here where we line all the way over here. This is the edge of the barn. So this is the side of the barn right here. And you can kind of see the lining of the barn all the way out that way. From the looks of it underneath there, if I can give you guys a good look, they literally have thousands of rocks underneath going for the whole span. And this must have been like the base, or like it held up the barn. So this must have been what supported it really, really well. It's just really neat to see this. Okay, so it does say here on this little informational poster that many of the settlers who came here took the Homestead Act of 1862, which was basically, it probably granted them a bunch of money to come out here and own federal land. This used to be federal land. And basically the rules were to be guaranteed this land for at least 5 years. They had to build a house, a barn, and attempt to farm on it. Now, if you don't know the geography of this area, it's very rocky. It's very low soil, lots of rocks. It's a very hard place to farm. And of course, you've got the entire forest, which was what they came to when they came in here. It was all forest. So the difficulties were arduous on cutting trees down, getting land to open up, and actually working the soil. So in 5 years, if they didn't have that, they would lose the land. But if they could attempt to have and farm this land, they could keep it for their own. So it's just kind of a neat little piece of history out here at the Swedish settlement. It is really neat here because it says the date is inscribed in the northeast corner of the concrete foundation. The east half of the section was into 13 stalls for dairy cows. So I guess this had 13 stalls for dairy cows, which was really cool. And I mean, I don't know, I've never really farmed cows before, so the people who know that, comment in the section. Does this look big enough to you? I mean, I don't know. I'd say 50 by 50. Probably is big enough. And yeah, northeast corner, so we got to figure that out. So the sun is there. It's about noon. It came up that way. That's east. That's west. So north corner. Hang on here. All right, so here's this end over here. Oh, right here. Oh, I don't know if you guys can see it. Here we go. I got a 9er right here. This looks like a 9. This looks 1911, actually. It looks like it spells out 1911. That's crazy. That would make sense for the year. It was about the 1880s that they started coming out here, so 1911 would be what, like, I don't know, 20 years later. So that makes sense. They said about 5 years they had to start attempting building and farming, so I'm assuming in 1911 they actually completed this structure, which is really neat. So I'm going to go back over here because we're going to look at the map and see if we can find the house. Okay, so here's the barn. Okay, and we kind of came up on the barn here. So then there's a shed going almost straight out this way. I believe the trail kind of goes this way. So there's a shed, and then there's a house. Okay. I believe we are standing on the house and shed of the Swedish settlement here. And I just came in once to look at this, and I know it's kind of echoey, but it is so cool to see something still standing. I mean, you look at you can see all the how they, like, you know, scraped it, kept it nice and smooth. I'm gonna try to stay on these rocks here. And they even have like an air hole here just to, like, I don't know, create some type of force so wind can come through. It is really cool in here. It is incredibly cool in this environment here. I don't know if anything's living here or not, so I don't want to bother it too much, but yeah, that is really neat. And then this looks like the base of a house, or maybe it's part of its shed. It's really hard to tell. They talked about it just being their homestead, so I'm assuming all of the above. I mean, I feel like I'm on the walls. I'm walking on the walls of their house. I think they collapsed this way, but they all used to be right here, and this is the inside of their house. Or this could have been the root cellar too, because it looks like it's been dug pretty deep. Gust Wellen. I guess that's the guy who kind of did all of this. I guess he was elected to Grandview Town Supervisor, Justice, and Constable, whatever that means. And I mean, it dates back to 1913 all the way through 1933. That is crazy. Back in the day, you got paid $2.75 an hour. That's crazy. That might be a picture of him right there. Good old Gust. All right, let's see if we can find anything else here. If not, we're gonna cook at the homestead, I think. That'd be a nice spot to cook. Here's the root cellar right here, and you can kind of see how it's been dug out into the ground. Maybe it's kind of hard to see on the camera here, but basically they had a roof right on top of all this here. You know, you can kind of see the divot down. That's where they kept their apples and potatoes, apparently, when they were up here. And you can kind of see some of the rock formation that they took to, like, I don't know, make a trail or a doorway in here. And then behind the root cellar is actually the well. This is the well. I thought this was part of the house, but this whole thing was the well, and it makes sense. You can see water here, and I'm assuming it's not here on purpose because it rained. It's been a really dry summer. So inside of here, as I showed you before, this was the well, and obviously it's not dug out anymore, but as you dig down in there, you probably can get tons of water, and it probably was dug down a whole lot more. It was just probably filled in for people like me not to be stupid and fall into it. It is very damp in here, and it does have that peephole for you know, cooling, and I don't know, it's a very cool place, like physically cool. And then we come out here and we get to the house. This is the house over here. The shed is somewhere over there. Maybe on our way back we'll go find it, but the barn's out that way, and this is the house. So this is where I want to make our Swedish meatballs. Alright, so it's time to eat now, but the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to actually talk to you guys a little bit about my thermocell here. This is a thermocell, and what it does is it uses little bottles of propane, which are like screwed into the bottom here. And it just emits a little bit of a flame here. There's a little starter that's right here that you click like this, and it's like a little flame, and it's like a little stove under here, and it heats this mat, this like blue mat right there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it heats that blue mat, and it emits some type of toxin. Probably we're not supposed to breathe it into, but mosquitoes hate it. And as you can tell, we still have a lot of mosquitoes around here because I've been walking around. The best bet for these babies are to set them down and let them kind of do their thing. And they are a lifesaver, especially in super buggy environments. They have helped me out countless times on trips that we've gone on where it's been really mosquito infested or just horsefly infested, and it helps out a lot. So I recommend getting these. I am not sponsored by Thermacell or by any company. I just recommend products that have helped me out. And it's kind of nice to have a little clippy on it, because if you do, then when you're hiking, you can just stick it on your, stick it on your backpack and hike, and it'll kind of emit around you so that the mosquitoes aren't all over your face. That has helped me out a lot. I've had to keep the hood up to help keep the mosquitoes off my head, but that's just how it is. Let's get to eating. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually set up my other Thermacell that maybe it emits the same amount of stuff to like make the mosquitoes go, but I feel this one works 10 times better. I don't know if it just pushes more BTUs and heats it up faster, but it works really nice. It goes on these butane propane things here, these little canisters, and it just twists on. It just looks just like this. Has an on-off switch, and yeah, a little thing to start it up, just the same as the other one here. So we're gonna do that right away because it is buggy. Okay, so if you didn't remember, we're going to be making Swedish meatballs today, and we're going to do it on this propane stove. And I brought a secret weapon today, the old moose skewer. Because, I could just boil the meatballs like any normal person, or, fry them up in a pan like a normal person, but this isn't anything normal. This is an adventure. So I'm going to stick these on the moose's antlers, and I'm going to cook them right over the propane. Okay, the next thing we got to do is we got to make the noodles for the Swedish meatballs to go on. You're going to need a pot for that. And you're going to need some water. About a few cups, I don't know. Okay, the noodles are done. First part done. And when I go camping or hiking or anything out in the woods, I like to bring Rubbermaid containers because they're the best thing to eat out of. Because if you don't eat everything, well, guess what? It's already packed away. One less step. Next up, we got to make the Swedish meatball sauce, the famous sauce. Back on you go. And then it takes about 2 cups of milk, which is 16 fluid ounces. That's 2 cups. I'm using low fat. Try to be healthy, but I'm going to be adding a bunch of preservatives to this anyways. So that'll go in there. Time to add some Swedish meatball powder to this milk here. So let's see what we're supposed to do. Oh, that's fancy. Cut this pouch first. Oh, fancy. Look at that. I don't know. I don't know what the lip's for. Maybe it's to like tuck it in if you don't use it all. There's a lot of powder in here. I don't know. We already made a whole bunch of it, so let's just go big or go home, right? Let's do it all. Oh, I see. There's 2 pouches to it because you're supposed to like make it, and then you're supposed to mix this in with the meatballs, which we already got pre-cooked meatballs, and then you've got the actual powder mix that's going to make the I don't know, we're going to mix it all together. We'll see how it turns out. And if you're Swedish out there and wondering what the heck and why I'm doing this, I like to do stuff like this for fun. I get a kick out of it. I love cooking, I love camping, and I love the outdoors. And I like to just get out and do things like this. And I thought it'd be kind of neat, since we're at the Swedish settlement, to do some Swedish meatballs to the best of my ability. That is what's going to go on our meatballs. Next up, meatballs. And I did fry some of these, you can't really tell, but I did them over on the skewer. That just was taking too long. So let's open these up. There we go. Got the meatballs. It's not Italian though. And in they go. Come on. There we go. Okay, the boiling process is beginning, and if you've ever boiled milk before, the one natural thing that likes to happen is it likes to like come shooting out like a cannon. So you got to be really careful with that. So it's like literally on the verge of boiling here. So hey guys, while those meatballs are cooking, I just want to thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to watch this video and viewing my channel. That has helped me out a great deal. I have had a lot of viewership happening lately, which is in the 30s, but that's still a lot more than being like below 10. So thank you guys so much for taking your time out of the day to do this. And if you could like and subscribe, that'd help me out greatly. That's up to you though. And thanks again. I really appreciate it. Okay, well, it's been a good few minutes, so I don't know, 20 minutes. Oh, look at that. Hang on. I always forget this is not a table and I want to set it here naturally. Okay, let's take a peek at our meatballs here. That looks great. Alright, it's the moment of truth now. We're going to put the meatballs into the noodles here. That looks, I don't know about you guys, but I'm starving. I didn't eat any breakfast today. I kind of came out here hoping it would be a quick hike out, cook, and go back. It's been a little bit longer than that, but this is great. Alright, this can be shut off now. We don't need that anymore. That'll cool off. Let's take a peek at what I made here. We've got the Swedish meatballs here. I don't know if you guys are even able to see that. It looks amazing. I've got the spices that you're supposed to actually roll the meatballs up in. However, I just threw them in the sauce. It'll all taste like Swedish meatballs to me. Unfortunately, these are just, I don't know, hamburger meatballs made to you by Walmart. Ooh, that is really good. That is fantastic. I can't tell you how great it is to just sit down and eat. The meatballs have turned out really, really good. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to see with the sun, but I mean, it's pre-cooked meatballs. Nothing was like raw. I just had to boil the noodles. This is great. Sitting out in the outdoors, listening to nature. This is what it's all about. So here's a life hack for you if you're ever out hiking, camping, and you're done cooking and you got to clean up, and say you're on a trail and you got to keep moving. You have no water source, nowhere to dump your stuff off that's not just in the woods, and you want to be a little more environmentally friendly and leave no trace. Here's a tip for you. What I do is, you can see how messy it is in there. I'm not going to try to dump it, but you can see it needs to get wiped out. I could either put the lid on this, put it on, and you can use duct tape and leave it on, but of course then you're going to have to clean it at some point. Or what I like to do is I like to bring just some type of paper towel, ones that can kind of rip up. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. You can always rip them, you know, in whatever size you want. And what I use is I wipe it out, and then I use these bags to actually stick it in here, seal it off, so that it's all contained in here, and then I'll toss it out at the next garbage station we pass by. So that's what we're going to do. In a lot of situations, like on the North Country Trail, you're required to pack in and pack out. So you have to bring everything with you when you come in, but then you got to take absolutely everything with you when you leave. Leave no trace. Time to hit the trail again. Hey, thanks everybody for coming along on this adventure. It's been a really good one, going out to the Swedish settlement, making some Swedish meatballs, seeing Juniper Rock. It's been a fun time. But with that being said, I do have to head to Walmart because I broke my tripod on the way back doing some filming. And so, like always, I'll see you on the next adventure.